Welcome back to Her Side of Campus, the show where ideas spark action and voices ignite change. I'm your host, Komal Iqbal, and today we are diving deep into a conversation that just might change the way you see the world. Before we start, just a quick note. The podcast may cover topics that could be triggering or distressing to some listeners, including but not limited to discussions about mental health, abuse, violence, discrimination, trauma, and other sensitive topics. We encourage you to prioritize your well-being. If at any point you feel uncomfortable, you are welcome to pause the podcast, skip a section, or stop listening entirely. If you feel affected by the topics discussed, please consider reaching out to a trusted friend, family member, or professional support service such as the University of Bradford Mental Health Service and Counselling Team, or Talking Therapies. This episode's guests have some really powerful and inspiring stories as students and will remain anonymous. We'll be having an open and honest discussion about resilience, recovery, and realities that many women face but are often left unspoken. Both of our guests today have faced personal challenges and turned them into strength, advocacy, and inspiration. Thank you both for being here today. Could you tell us a little about who you are and what you do right now?
Hi everyone, I am a second year student at Bradford and I think I'm really grateful to be here.
Hi, I'm a PhD student and been at Bradford for a while now, did my undergrad here and really enjoy being at Bradford as well.
So I want to start with the topic of harassment. You've been quite open with me about your experience with harassment, and I'm glad to see that you want to help address and prevent this issue on campus. Could you tell us a bit about what happened and what inspired you to start using your voice for change?
Okay, I think I'll start with what inspired me to come out about my story is this sometimes, when this happens to some people, they usually goes unsaid, like lots of people aren't comfortable to talk about it, or they are comfortable about it, but they're not quite confident enough to speak up about it. And I think I'm doing this today because I need to come to terms with it. I need to stop dissociating. I need to be realistic with myself and say, yes, this happened to me. This actually changed my life. And I can't keep hiding from it. I need to, for once, own up to say, yes, this did happen to me and it has changed my life. It has impacted me. But I need to do something about it, and I'm also doing this for the people out there who want that little bit of a push to speak up and say that they're not alone. They are not alone in this at all. This happens to a lot of people, and this is sometimes it is sensitive topics, but then I just want to say that they're not alone, you know?
Yeah, that's amazing. Honestly, I'm so glad that you've come and decided to share your story and inspire other women. And also, it must have been really difficult to go through. What kind of support did you find most helpful at the time?
That's actually quite a hard question because I didn't really have much support. I did ask for some help, but I came to a bit of a roadblock because there wasn't much they could do about it. I didn't have any evidence of it, and it was really, really difficult for them to say we can't do much. We can tell this person that it's wrong, that they shouldn't do it again, but there's not much that we can offer. They did say I could talk to the mental health team, but when I talked to them, it felt like I was talking to people who I'd known my whole life, and I didn't feel comfortable with that. I wanted something anonymous, something that somebody brand new who didn't know everything beforehand, but they couldn't provide me with that support, so I kind of been living with it.
Yeah, that's understandable. Are you comfortable giving us a bit of a backstory?
Yeah, I'm okay with that, yeah. So this happened before I was 18. I was in year 13 and I was on the bus back to school. So I'm coming home after school and I'd fallen asleep. So I think I was on the bus early. I got on and I was sat near the back because at the back it's usually a bit more quieter. And I get off second to last stop. So I sat at the back and I was sat next to the window and I think my seat is above the wheel. So I'm sat there and I fall asleep. My bags are on the floor. And a year 8 comes and sits next to me. She usually sits next to me usually. So what happened was I'd fallen asleep and she'd gotten off, but because I was asleep, I hadn't noticed. And then apparently a year 12 who I'd kind of taken under my wing because he hadn't done his GCSEs at that school and he'd come to the sixth form. So I thought, okay, this is somebody who I wouldn't mind like showing around like where the classrooms are and all. So I kind of took him under my wing, and he sat next to me on the bus. So I was fine with that. And then apparently he fell asleep as well, and he popped his head on my shoulder. But obviously I'm asleep, and apparently he fell asleep as well, and he popped his head on my shoulder. That didn't wake me up because I have younger siblings. Usually when we're on long car rides, or sometimes when we're on an aeroplane, or just like on the sofa, they pop their heads on my shoulder. So that sort of thing wouldn't have woken me up. And anyway, I'm still asleep, and the bus goes over a really big bump. I wake up because I'm sat above the wheel, so I bump in my seat, and I hit my head against the window, and that wakes me up. And I feel this really heavy weight in my lap. I'm thinking, oh, did somebody like move my bags, pop them on my lap while I was asleep? No, it wasn't that. The boy who'd fallen asleep on my shoulder had laid himself across my lap, like draped himself like a cat.
Oh my God, what?
That's exactly what happened. He draped himself across my lap, and his hands were on my thighs. I was wearing a skirt. I had tights on underneath, but I was wearing a skirt. It was sort of a silky skirt, and it's very thin material, and I can feel his hands, the really, really strong grip on my thighs, and they're holding on. And the first thing I do when I wake up is I want to scream. Because obviously I did not know this had happened to me. I think I would have been able to manage it if I'd woken up and he was still sleeping on my shoulder. But he was draped across my lap. And obviously I can't scream because I'm on a school bus. I've got year 7s, year 8s, year 9s. My brother sat on a seat couple behind me. And if I tell him anything, he's going to make such a big deal out of it. He might get kicked off the bus. And I can't have getting kicked off the bus because it means I'll get kicked off the bus. And we live like an hour away from school. So I kind of just tell myself, okay. I look across the aisle and there's a year 8 and he doesn't look alarmed. So, but I ask him, I fell asleep and you saw me asleep, what happened? And he told me what happened. The girl got off, the boy had come sat next to me, fallen asleep, popped his head on my shoulder, and then suddenly draped himself across my lap. So I'm sat with this reality of, okay, there's a guy who I'm not very comfortable with. Like, I just talk to him during lunch break and ask how his day has been, if he's lost, if there's a teacher he's a bit uncomfortable talking to, like how to sort out his email. So that's all I've done with this person. And he's just draped across my lap, and his hands are really holding on, and his face is pointed towards my knees. But you know, sometimes in your sleep, when you turn your face, I mean, he could have turned his face to, space. So I'm freaking out, obviously, and I try and wake him up, but I can't get him to wake up. I mean, I can feel his drool going through my skirt.
That's just sounds disgusting, honestly. I don't understand what the need for something like that even is.
And I don't know what's happening to me, and I try waking him up, and he doesn't get up. And then somebody's playing Slim Shady by Eminem down the bus, and that seems to snap him out of it, and he's still draped across my lap. Then I'm just freaking out, and then I just hear singing from my lap, and I'm telling him, get up, get off, please. I'm pushing at his shoulder, and his hands get tighter and tighter, and he's not moving. So obviously I'm going a little bit crazy, and then his stop comes, and his brother is in year 7. He's sat near the front, and he shouts his name. So he gets up, grabs his bag from between his feet, gets off the bus, and I'm just sat there, and I'm a little bit in shock. My brother, he's still sat behind. He hasn't noticed anything, and I've got drool on my lap, my favourite skirt. And what I do is, it looks like a stain. So what I do is I get my water bottle and I wet it a bit to try and mop it up with some tissue, but I make it worse. So I just leave that. And so if anybody asks what is on that on my skirt, I'll be like, oh, well, I spilled my water bottle on me. So I get off the bus. I make sure my brother gets off the bus. And I walk to where our next destination, and I'm itching all over. Like, I want the skirt off me. I want my tights off me, but I can't strip. Like, I can't do that. And I wait till I get home. The first thing I do is I put it into the laundry, and I put the laundry straight into the washing machine. And my mum was asking me, what am I doing laundry at 7 p.m. at night? And the sun has gone down by then. This is October time. And so I tell her, oh, I spilled something and I want to get the stain out. I've put the rest of my washing in. I don't tell her what the stain is, obviously, and I don't tell her anything that's happened. Because if I tell her, she's going to treat me like I'm glass, like I'm cotton wool. She'll tell me off for starters. Why did you go talk to that boy? Why did you make this sort of friendship with him? I was like, I didn't want to be his friend. He was lost on his first day, and I just was being like a decent human being. So I built some sort of like rapport with him, but that didn't mean I necessarily want to be his friend. So my mum, she sees how distressed I am about this stain. So she's thinking maybe I started my period and I want to get a period stain out. So she lets me put the washing on. And then I think it's 2 days after I've come to terms with it, I haven't slept. You can tell I didn't sleep at all those past 2 days. I remember I got stopped by a teacher, and he gave me a good look and he's like, are you sleeping? Because during my GCSEs, I didn't sleep very well either because of stress. So he's thinking, so my teacher's thinking maybe I'm going through that again. But it's not because of stress, it's because I still feel his hands on me. And I go to my head of year when I'm ready to talk about it, tell her that this happened to me. She's a bit alarmed by this because I'm a good girl, conservative. I haven't done anything like this before. I haven't come to her about having problems with guys. I mean, my best friend is a guy. So, anyway, she calls in the younger student and she tells him off, saying, this is not right, this is wrong, you can't do this. And what really appalled me was the brick wall that we hit is because the younger student's excuse was that he's autistic.
Huh?
That's what really confused me. He said he didn't understand what he was doing was wrong. He just felt like doing it. And I was apparently like, he felt really comfortable with me. And he was saying things like that. And I'm just sat there thinking, that's not what autism is. You can't use autism as an excuse. But obviously I can't say that because he could take that as discrimination. I'm a brown student, he's white. And that sort of thing still is a thing to this modern age. And he's a guy, I'm a girl. And usually in this society, when a girl comes out with this sort of thing and she's got no evidence, she's making it up. She's being dramatic. So I'm sat there in my head of year's office and I'm panicking because this younger student just came out with, I'm autistic. I didn't know what I was doing was wrong. And he's using that as his excuse, like his shield to hide behind. And I'm like, what? How do I go on from here? And obviously my head of year is shocked. And then she looks at him and says, okay. And then there, we hit a brick wall. And I don't think she quite knew what to do. I mean, she told him he can't do it again. And that we left it at that. But I wanted to speak up, but I couldn't because I was so shocked. And I wanted to say, I still have bruises on my thighs from how hard your hands were on me. I can still feel his hands squeezing my thighs. And I can still remember the curve of his shoulders against the heel of my palm as I'm trying to push him off. And from then on, I've been really uncomfortable to sleep on public transport. I mean, sometimes when you're on an hour trip on the train, sometimes you want to have a cat nap. I sometimes panic because I can't bring myself to just nap for a few seconds, just to close my eyes, because I'm scared that a man will come sit next to me and he will do the same thing. Like, even now when I sleep in my own bed, I'll wake up in the middle of the night and I'm half expected to have his hands on me because because I can feel the ghost of them. Like it still haunts me. Sometimes you might want to take like the odd cat nap in the library if you're pulling like a full like on all nighter. I can't do that. I physically can't. I mean, I went to my grandmother's over the summer, and she woke me up because the foot of the bed faces the door. So she woke me up by tapping me on the knee. I sat up like I was Dracula from his coffin, and I screamed. And she was like, "What the hell?" And I was like, "Sorry, I was having a nightmare." So it's been a long time. It's been more than 2 years since this happened, and it still haunts me. And I'm still scared.
Yeah, that's understandable. What you've gone through is not the easiest thing to even talk about.
And what was this is I wasn't the younger one in the situation. It was a younger student, and he's more of a minor than I am. I mean, I was turning 18 a couple of months after this had happened, and I didn't know how else to do this. So my school, they said, okay, talk to this person. I couldn't talk to that person because they'd known me since I started at that school. And I wasn't comfortable telling her this because this teacher, I loved this teacher. I mean, I've known this teacher since I was 13, and telling her this, I just couldn't do it. And I've just been stuck in this whirlpool of just constantly circling the drain of what to do, who to talk to, how do I go on with this, and I'm tired of it, but it still affects me.
It's also the idea of your parents not knowing about it. Like none of your family members know about it, so it's hard to express it to anybody else. So that's one of the reasons why I'm glad that you've come on here.
Yeah, about that, I haven't told my parents about this. I haven't told my siblings about this. I haven't told my aunt, my grandparents. As far as they're concerned, I haven't had anything like this happen to me. Because I'm scared that if I do finally tell my mum or my dad, they'll never let me leave the house again. They'll probably ask me to pull out of uni. They'll probably ask me to stay at home. They'll probably never let me go out by myself again. Like, I've been on an airplane by myself a few times. They'd never let me do that again. They'd never let me go on the train again. They'd scold me constantly. It was like, you can't make friends with guys because this will happen to you. Because you blurred the line, you can't make guy relationships. And I'm like, but my best friend is a guy. And I can't suddenly just go, oh, I can't be friends with you anymore because of your gender. I mean, I can't do that. So I can't tell my mum or my dad that this happened to me. And I can't tell any family member because obviously because I'm from an Asian household, they'll obviously tell my parents. So what do I do? That's what I'm scared of. So I have talked to the Bradford mental health team. So they are aware something happened. And so I'm just waiting to see what we can do next.
Yeah, I think you could also do some counselling. It doesn't hurt to sit and talk to a counsellor about an issue that's bothering you, and they can help understand how you feel about it.
Yeah, I will definitely take that into account. Yeah. I think I would benefit from talking to someone externally or just doing some counselling might help me come to grips with it because they might actually give me some coping mechanisms. Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. They're quite experienced in that aspect. It's just honestly amazing to see that you're in a position where you're actively trying to tackle this issue. So I wanted to ask you, what sorts of initiatives or changes do you want to see?
When it comes to changes and initiatives, I want to see people being educated that you can't like touch somebody without the consent. Consent is still a thing that's brand new to some people. Like it's still a thing that we are talking about today. About 20 years ago, if you talked about it, we'd be like, okay, it's common sense, but it's not. Some people just do things without asking, and they don't seek consequences. So I want to see people understand that there are consequences to your actions, and that you need to be held accountable, and that the excuses you give, I don't know if they'll ever be enough to let you get away with it. I mean, I'm still suffering from the trauma that I've from this, and if the guy hadn't said, "Oh, I'm autistic," and hadn't used that as a shield to hide behind, I might have actually been able to get somewhere, and I wouldn't still be crying over this and all. And I mean, it's affecting my sleep, and sleep is a really big thing of human development. And so I need to do something about it. So I need people to know that you can't touch somebody without the consent. It might seem like it is common sense, like you could, but no, please don't. Just ask. It doesn't hurt to ask.
Yeah, that's some really good advice for what can be done next, because it's very important to learn from your experiences, and then also taking initiative about it can just help that much more people. So that's amazing. I wanted to move on to our second guest here today. She is doing a PhD in psychology, and I wanted to ask if you could share what led you to undertake your research.
Yeah, it kind of links to the themes of today, really, because when I was doing my A-levels and really enjoyed my A-levels, I was very academic and always have enjoyed learning and things like that. But I had been through quite a traumatic time. So my father passed away when I was 14, and I kind of dealt with it during, well, not dealt with, but all came kind of flooding up during my A-levels, and I got anxiety, and at a pivotal time where you kind of, all of your academic achievement is measured and you're going on to your next steps. It really impacted my attainment. So my grades did not represent what I was capable of at all because of what I was going through. So my research is basically looking at student transition from compulsory education to higher education during crisis. So I look at the COVID-19 crisis and the adverse experiences that young people had to deal with, and then move on to a next step when they've been through so much change and obviously a lot of trauma as well with what happened, and individual experiences of things that happened during COVID behind closed doors.
Yeah, like this research is a way for you to understand your own feelings about what happened during the same transition period for other people as well. So yeah, I think it's very like close to your heart, which is really
I'm
good.
really passionate about it, which helps. I think that helped participants as well.
Yeah, 100%. That's brilliant, honestly. I know your path to getting to where you are now hasn't been easy. You told me a bit about overcoming domestic abuse and dealing with depression. Would you feel comfortable sharing a little about what happened when you were in this situation and how you got out of it?
Yeah, of course. I don't think I'll ever be out of it, but yeah, this was a long time ago now, so about 10 years ago now. I was with my previous partner for 4 years, and over that time, there was a lot of kind of psychological and emotional abuse, and especially during the pandemic. So during lockdown, obviously I was isolated within the same space as him for a prolonged period of time. So, I'd be scared for him to come home from work because his temper was so, he'd fly off the handle about every little thing, and I'd be walking on eggshells 24/7. And yeah, I'd finished my undergraduate degree during the pandemic, so during lockdown. That was 2020. Decided I wanted to carry on and pursue a PhD, and with all the kind of achievement and milestones that were happening, I didn't have any energy to put towards it. I was really struggling just with day-to-day life and trying to make the house good enough for him. And yeah, it was a really kind of hard time, to put it mildly. But yeah, I think after leaving that relationship, it was like a weight off my shoulders. I moved back in with my mum, and it was kind of, like an instant relief. And now I'm in a relationship that's supportive and healthy and everything it should be and more, really. But yeah, from leaving that relationship, I developed depression, and that I was diagnosed with depression in 2022. And yeah, I'm kind of coming out of that now. But obviously that took a hit with my studies and my focus and just the energy for for studying in general. But yeah, it's kind of, life obviously carries on after all of these experiences, and it's just about not letting them, and it's so easier said than done, but not letting them define what you want to do and where you want to go because of someone else's actions.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that's what's, obviously when I had depression, that wasn't,
Yeah.
I wasn't able to see, I wasn't able to see that whatsoever. But coming out the other side of it and saying that I got through it, I definitely want to kind of, as cheesy as it sounds, like carve your own path. Don't let someone else, don't let someone else shape where you're going because of their bad behaviours, essentially.
Yeah, and there is light at the end of the tunnel.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It sounds like you've had it rough, honestly. Feel so sorry for you, and I hope it's better now. How did those experiences shape your outlook on life and your academic journey? Because it all happened through your higher education journey.
I think it changes your perspective about what's important. So I always put a lot of importance on, obviously, someone else's feelings, and it kind of makes you reevaluate boundaries to people in a good way, obviously, as well as kind of putting a wall up. But I think what kind of shaped my outlook for the better is just being grateful for the little things. Like even when I was going through the kind of emotional abuse and things, I'd have a gratitude journal, and every day I'd write down like 3 things that I was like grateful for.
Aww.
And it kind of you reevaluate, like, okay, because I had no way out. I was it was COVID, so.
And it must have felt like a trap.
Yeah, it was really isolating. I remember when the 3rd lockdown was called, in January 2021.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. I was just like, I can't go through this again.
Yeah.
I can't do another round of this. So I was glad that was raised pretty soon. But I think it changes your perspective for better, especially so both, personal life and your academic journey, because it just makes you appreciate that there's things to look forward to outside of something else, which is like shaping the way you see things. Yeah, I think as optimistic as it sounds, it's really hard to do, but I think if you like practice a little bit every single day, it gets easier and you start to believe it a lot more. So I think that's just what's helped, really.
Yeah, I know that anything to support just your mental health is so important. I think about a year ago, I made myself a gratitude jar, and I just take like notes out every other day, and it just makes me feel better and lifts up my mood. So yeah, it's really helpful. Many listeners might be going through similar situations, and hearing your story is gonna make a huge difference. So I'm so glad that you guys are both here. How did you manage to stay focused on your goals through everything that you faced?
Probably just sheer stubbornness, really. Like I say, I didn't want to let it impact my career.
For me, it's more about spite. This is my revenge. I'm not going to let this person impact my studies. He might impact my sleep, he might impact my well-being, but I'm going to keep on studying, I'm going to finish my education, and I'm going to come on top and say, despite having this happen to me, I'm going to do what I want to do, I'm going to achieve what I want to be, and I won't let this small little thing, well, actually, that's a lie, this big thing, but I'm not going to let this thing that already has such a big impact on my life impact even more.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, and the people that I speak to in my research, obviously, I don't bring up my personal life, but yeah, it's just you understand and you're so much more empathetic about everyone else's experiences that they've been through because you've overcome so much yourself and want to champion people that haven't had the easy road. And obviously, that doesn't mean you want everyone to go through something life-changing, but I think it just makes you more understanding that other people might have also been through things before they've sat at the table with you.
Yeah,
so it just makes you listen a lot more and just appreciate other people a lot more.
It's like nobody's life is perfect.
Yeah, everyone's got things that they're battling with every single day. So it just, it makes you a lot more patient and understanding.
Yeah, that's wonderful. I wanted to touch on the topic of empowerment because I know that you guys have turned these painful experiences into a drive to help yourself and help others. So what does empowerment mean to you now? Not before, just now.
Keep smiling. It might not feel a lot at first, but it takes less muscles in your face to smile than it does to frown. So keep smiling. Small steps. Start small, and then work towards bigger steps. But smiling is a good step to start with. And my empowerment is say keep smiling, try and keep positive, keep trying to keep your head above the waves. Don't let yourself drown.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. Like on a everyday basis, that really does help. But I think as well, it's like, I think for women especially, you're criticised for everything. Like,
Tell me about it.
your decisions are irrational. Like, if you're emotional, you just, you're not passionate, you're emotional, all that kind of thing. So I think empowerment for me, especially after having been with someone who criticised everything, is just about ignoring it, because it's not going to stop. You can't say like, telling them to go away, because it's never going to go away.
Yeah.
It's just about ignoring it and knowing that it's not fact. If someone's got an opinion, it's an opinion. It's not gonna. It shouldn't come into your sphere at all. Like, and I think for me, it's about understanding what is fact and what is someone's opinion.
I think there's also that factor of you being so confident in yourself. Even though you had somebody putting you down constantly, you were confident enough in yourself to know that that's not you.
Yeah.
And that helped you massively.
And it's a long journey to get to that as well,
Yes,
because you do
100%.
obviously internalize like there must be something wrong with me. Why are they targeting me? Or I've upset them, and there's all that kind of emotion wrapped in it.
I think we all get to a point where we're just like, this is me, and I don't care what anybody else thinks or says about me, because I'm going to still show up the same every day, and I'm not going to change the way I am for somebody else.
Exactly.
I'm only going to change for myself.
Yeah, like in your experience, to have someone say, well, I didn't know it was wrong, yet you were telling them in the moment that, get off, it's wrong. It's like, why am I taking that as fact when that's just someone's opinion, when my opinion was in the moment and you weren't listening to it? So I think reevaluating situations and knowing that my feelings are just as valid as yours, and that is that kind of, obviously in the moment everyone's reactions and things are going to be natural and they'll play out the way they do, but it's about knowing that your reality is yours as well as theirs will be theirs, but mine is, I feel this kind of way, I've been through this thing, and that's just how it should be.
Yeah, I agree.
So it's more about owning it than anything else, to be honest. It's like, this has happened to me. I'm coming to terms with it. I'm owning it. There's no point hiding from it now. And yeah, I understand what you mean. I do.
I just want to quickly touch upon the university perspective of this situation. What do you think that institutions can do? What more can they do to support students' safety, mental health, and overall well-being?
Well, they can start with education, like weaving it into education, educating people that there are boundaries, there are rules, they're there for a reason, and it'd be really helpful to at least adhere to them, or at least like listen to them rather than completely ignore them. And I know that some people don't like to necessarily follow rules, but just at least acknowledging them and understanding why they're there for a reason and why they're there in the first place, that would be really helpful, because at university you're an adult, you're accountable for your own actions. So if you do something wrong and somebody tells you it was wrong and you deny it, and you keep denying it, then eventually you're going to believe that you weren't in the wrong at all, and that the other person is in the wrong.
What about you?
Yeah, and I did reach out to the counselling service at the university, and it was like at the time of being with my previous partner, and they really did help. They listened. It was a kind of talking therapy.
Yeah, you find that with the counselling service in the university. It's very, you talk, they listen.
Yeah.
Then it's not about them giving you advice. It's more about letting you be able to just talk through your emotions.
Yeah, it was really helpful.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think just signposting to that and maybe giving a bit more of, examples of what people might be going through to why they need to reach out to the counselling service instead of leaving it open.
Yeah, I think they need to do a lot more promotion for that, because it doesn't feel like a lot of people know about the counselling service.
Yeah, the counselling service is really helpful because they help take that weight off your shoulders to lessen your burdens. They're there to, they listen to you, and sometimes at the end of the day, you just want somebody to listen and not judge. You just want to listen and be sympathetic for once, not to tell you that you're being stupid, that you're making it up, because they are there for you. So I think that the counselling service is a great service here. Like they're really helpful.
I think as well, just for those who are maybe postgraduate or PhD students, making it, obviously you don't need to go into any detail, but making your supervisors aware that you're going through something, because it just kind of illuminates that maybe your work might take a hit, or something is not you're not performing at the standard you usually would because of something you're going through, and it's not something to be ashamed of. It's just, it's the fact of the matter is your work might be affected by something that you're going through,
all the things that are going on around you, and that's okay.
Yeah, it is. And because they can also, with that knowledge, help you. So they might, so in my circumstances, they've been incredible. So helping me stay on a plan and kind of just having that pastoral support when you don't feel, you need a little bit more boost by other people.
Yeah, like sometimes you feel like you're all alone, and it's just about trying to find the people that will let you speak to them and understand your situation and then try to do something about it. So just taking that first step is really important.
Well, I suppose as well, for just thinking about it for undergrads as well.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if personal academic tutors are a thing. I feel like that is that
Yeah.
even if they can if you don't go into detail, but you could make them aware and they could advocate for you if you don't feel like you can do it by yourself.
Yeah, I remember when I was struggling a bit with managing uni and home life, I spoke to my part and she helped me move my timetable around so that I could leave earlier, so I could get home, and because I had responsibilities at home at the time, and that helped me so much, and I don't think she realised just how much that helped me.
Yeah, it's life changing because you've got someone who's
who'll listen
acknowledging
and,
it.
and then they'll do something about it. And
Yeah.
it's also it was so insane to me that somehow, well, I'm saying somehow, but my head of school also knew about the situation, and she would always ask me every time I saw her, and that I didn't realize just how big of an impact that made to me at the time until afterwards, when I realized, like, oh my God, she actually asked me how I felt. And she's like at the top, but she's also listening, and she understands students' personal circumstances as well. And I think that is empowering in itself.
It is.
And it just made me feel like she's such a good role model for that as well. So, yeah. Before we wrap up, what's next for both of you guys? So whether it's research, advocacy, or personal growth, what do you hope to achieve moving forward?
For me, personal growth, this has had, obviously you both know that it's had such a big impact on me. And I do keep smiling, I do my best to put on a smile, to keep positive, but I still have that sort of skin crawling feeling, like when somebody gets too close, or I sit next to somebody on the bus, I still get a little freaky out, and I don't want that feeling for the rest of my life. I mean, I'm very young. I want to live till I'm 100. I want to break world records. And I can't reach that world record if I'm going to be scared for most of my life. So I want to be able to get some sort of something to manage it, something to cope with.
Honestly, just that ambition and that growth will get you so far. You're so determined that I can already see that. It'll be like talking about something that's happened so long ago, and it won't even matter to you anymore. I can see it. I can already see it.
Well, I hope it won't matter to me anymore, but I want to get there. I want to get there.
You will.
Yeah, absolutely. I completely resonate with that. I had kind of side effects, for a better word, afterwards, and you have reminders all the time that kind of take you back to that place. But I think, just going forward, just learning from it, really, because you can't change what's happened. You kind of just have to move on from it, and just doing things like this, and even just telling, if you're comfortable to people in your life that you might think are struggling, that, that you're okay to talk to me, because I've also been through things that I'm necessarily kept behind closed doors. Yeah, and just being open about things as well.
Also, I'm single right now, but eventually I do want a relationship with somebody. Okay, I can't be. I don't want to be alone, and I can't and I am into guys. I want to be able to have a relationship with a guy, but not freak out every time he comes near me. You know, because physical intimacy is such a big thing in human relationships. And if I don't work out this problem I have now, and I do get into a relationship with someone, and this fear holds me back, then I will be setting up both myself and him for failure, and I don't want to waste somebody's time.
I think from my experience of being with someone who was terrible, and not being with someone terrible now, I think it's turned into a different podcast.
It's okay. It's
But
okay.
I think if you find the right person, you don't have to have been through. You don't have to have got all the way to the other side and got rid of all your trauma in order to be with somebody, because that person will match you and understand things and go at your pace and be appreciative that you've had experiences in the past, and they inform how you act now, and it's not you, and you want to better that, and they'll meet you in the middle. So you don't. I think there's a massive misconception that you need to be a complete perfect human, which is impossible, before you're with somebody. So I think, yeah, you'll be okay.
I really hope so. Thank you. That's very reassuring.
Oh, didn't know it was going to be a relationship podcast now. But I think it's important to know that it's okay. And yeah, like you said, you don't have to be perfect to be in a relationship.
Yeah, definitely.
That's for the growth of the relationship. If you were perfect, how would you meet in the middle? There would be no meeting in the middle. So yeah, I completely agree with you on that. I wanted to just say a huge thank you to both of you guys for sharing your stories today. These type of conversations are not always easy, but they're so important for people to hear and understand. It reminds us that behind every statistic and campaign, there are real people with real strength, real hope, and real challenges, and we're not just a number. And everybody's experiences are going to be different, and that's okay. Do you know of any support systems that maybe pop into your head that you could give knowledge to for the audience?
Well, I've heard of Victim Support. It's a charity. They're a great institution to reach out to if you want to talk to somebody. Great Samaritans. They're a good anonymous service if you just want to get something off your chest. They're a good institution to ring up. There are lots of victim support charities out there, so don't be afraid to reach out to them.
Yeah, I was going to say Samaritans as well, because it's not pigeonholing you into, I don't know, if you don't want to consider yourself a domestic abuse victim or a kind of, you just want to speak about something that's troubling you in that moment. It's really good at just speaking to somebody. It's kind of a siloed conversation that's not going to come back and follow you up. Like maybe if you spoke to the counselling service, you might get followed up with, which you might not want that in the moment. So, but I would say the counselling service, or speak to your GP, because if you're going through something like depression, like I had, or any kind of mental health problem, then your GP is your best bet at because it might also, obviously people go through trauma and need to have counselling, but it might also be that you've got a drop in serotonin or something that needs the medication.
I was going to say, sometimes those experiences can lead to a diagnosis of something else. So it's always worth going to the doctor just in case.
Yeah, exactly.
When it comes to reaching out, if you are listening and you do want to reach out, then I want you to know I think you're brave, that you're amazing, and that you are strong, because it takes a lot for somebody to admit for help. So if you're going to reach out to help, I want you to know that you are phenomenal, and you should be very proud of yourself for finding that courage and that strength.
Oh, that's amazing. To anybody listening, if you've been affected by any of these issues discussed today, whether it's harassment, domestic abuse, or mental health struggles, please remember that you are not alone, and there are places you can go for support. And that's a wrap for today's episode. Remember, everybody has a role to play in shaping our society, and the journey does not stop here. Keep questioning, keep learning, and keep on making a difference. Thank you for tuning in, and we will see you next time on Her Side of Campus.